Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. We're looking at another fine January day in New Brunswick. Hi, my name's Jeffrey Bento Corey, and this is the return of a series of podcasts I've been doing with my good buddy Jim A. Shaw of Woodstock, New Brunswick. We've done a lot of work promoting his Secrets of the Dam series, his Gugway series, which is still in process. But this is something new this morning. Jimmy really recently published the first in a series of his new series. Um, it's called A Father's Legacy and Introduction. Now, Jimmy has been working on this book for quite some time. It's been self-published in recent weeks. It's a great book. Everybody should pick it up. Good morning, Jimmy.
Good morning. How is everybody?
Jimmy, you're with us this morning, and we're this is sort of like a kind of a rebirth for the Jim A. Shaw mindset. A lot of success with the Secrets of the Damned series, the republishing of it. Secrets of the Damned has gotten much acclaim in the States and Canada in recent months. But this is something new. A Father's Legacy and Introduction, Jim, can we talk about the process put together from idea to creation to publishing?
Well, let me see. The book started in the 1990s. Actually, the story idea did. I was working as a security guard in Moncton, and I was sitting in my car overnight guarding heavy equipment. I had just got done reading a science fiction series, which served as the then ending for very popular science fiction.
Can't say it, but you can pretty well figure it out.
Right, very popular science fiction series. And I can remember telling my aunt Lillian Steves, I said, I can write a better story than that. And then she said, well, if you think you can, then do it. So the next night I started writing the series. It came to me in a series of pictures at first, and I just started describing what I saw. So that was the first thing, and I had written about 700-800 pages worth of this story. It was then called The Legends of the Star Musketeers. And I decided, I put it on the back burner because, of course, I made the decision that horror would probably be more popular than science fiction.
Thus Secrets of the Damned.
Thus Secrets of the Damned came out. And then I put these things all on the back burner, but I always wanted to bring them out. So what happened this past summer, I decided that now was the time, because I'm not getting any younger. So I started again with this series. Tentatively, I was calling it Legends of the Star Musketeers. And then I started simultaneously listening to Iron Maiden's album, Seventh Son.
Great album.
I like it. And it started putting different ideas in my mind. And then these ideas were attaching themselves to this story. So the story was actually metamorphosizing in my mind. And as I was writing it, I would write it on. Oddly enough, here's the crazy thing. I wrote this story as a security guard working overnights in Moncton. And then I became a commissionaire working overnights here on the border. So then I started doing this series, and as I was rewriting it, it completely changed into something totally different, and I really, really, really enjoy it. Now, this book is, I tried something different with this book. Most novels have a set formula that they follow, and it's a rising action to a climax towards the end of the book. I did the exact opposite with this book. I front-loaded this book on purpose, and then after that, there is a rising action, but it's basically setting you up for the next story in the series, which is called The Stone Emperor, and then all hell breaks loose. Then it's really a wild ride.
Now, Jim, this is heavily influenced by Viking Norse legends.
Yes. I took elements of the Musketeers, and I took some of the
Three Musketeers or Four Musketeers, yeah.
the more violent elements of some Viking civilizations, but it's all set in a a science fiction setting. So it's well, I'm going to call it more space opera because I'm always character driven and story plot wise driven. But they're zooming around through the space to go in different galaxies, or I should say, solar systems.
So the basic plot of the opening book, without giving too much away and hurting sales.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, what basic plot synopsis of what occurs in A
In this-
Father's Legacy? An introduction.
Well, I have to. It's hard to break it down on this one book because, like I said, this book is an introduction. It's an introduction to the series. It's designed so that once you read it, it's like a guided tour somewhere, and then once you're done the guided tour, you kind of know your way around the city.
Yeah, sort of an encyclopedia compilation, like the old
Right.
comic books review, like of the characters.
Exactly. 'Cause I'm setting you up for the series, but in this, but you see that this book, The Father's Legacy's its main purpose is to set everybody up, so you know everybody's story. Well, you'll get a gist of everybody's story, but the main characters are a character named Marcus, and he's of course he's been told all his life that he is the seventh born, and he's also the chosen one for the galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
He's a young fellow. He's about 18, 19-year-old, and this is a lot to weigh on such young shoulders. And you know how kids are, and he's full of self-doubt, but he's also very brash, and he's also, how would I say, he's like a kid. He takes
Man child.
Right, he takes a tenth of the information and figures he's got all 100%. So we're dealing with the fact that this guy's full of so much self-doubt. He doesn't believe he's the promised one. He half-heartedly believes it, I should say. But he does. He is a member of a fighting organization, and he's very good at the combat arts. I mean, he's second to none when it comes to using a star sword, which is it's not made out of metal. Star sword has a crystalline base to it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so in many respects, in his life, for his particular story arc, it's a journey of discovery, of finding out where he fits in and who he really is. And then there's other main characters. There's another, his sister, who he never knew he had. She's also seventh born because they're twins. But she was raised by the royal house of a particular planet, which figures in prominently in the series. Her name is Aurora Prilia. Her story arc is, well, she's lived her whole life knowing she's a royal princess of the house Prilia and of the planet Prill. So you can get all those cool little. And now she's realized that her father, her real father, was Lord Admiral Vendretti. He's a villain. Well, I say he's a villain, but more or less, he was the kind of guy that's no holds barred, like in wrestling. He would do anything to get what he wants. And if that meant being a good guy, he was a good guy. If that meant being a despicable son of a gun, he was a despicable son of a gun. So I think he's not the evil one per se, because you're going to see he does a fairly heroic act. But he's driven to the point where his goals are all consuming. So she has to deal with the fact that the galaxy views this guy as a real bad guy. They view him more like an Adolf Hitler type thing. So she now has that doubt inside her saying, well, geez, I'm just shushing my border. He's making noise. Am I really this person who I was raised to be, or is there enough of Vendretti in me that I might not be a good person? So that's her story arc. So there's a lot of characters that have these. Each character has their own story arc that we're going to follow through to completion, all in the backdrop of a war-torn galaxy, where one side is specifically losing because the politicians can't get their heads out of their own butts and help their military personnel.
That's drawn from real life right there.
Oh, sure it is. It's the way life always is.
Yes.
Governments always they always have their own agendas, and their agendas normally are not to protect the people or their sovereign borders.
Yeah, to keep the rich rich and to keep the poor down. So
Exactly.
now, Jimmy, the book itself, it's no pun intended, it's a page turner. A lot of people I've spoke to who read the book are very proud that you're kind of exploring your own love of the genre, but itself, the final version, was that written the last 5 or 6 months?
Yes.
And so that was taking the initial seed from the 1990s.
I took the story from the 1990s story. I still have.
And
I have
you
at least 700 pages.
expanded and you concise a little bit of the plot.
A little bit of both. I mean, the massive rebuild that happened and the regenesis of this story, which changed it to A Father's Legacy, which is the introduction to the series of the Legends of the Seventh One. It went through a metamorphosis where, yeah, some things were deleted, other things were cleaned up, and then other things are just outright brand new stuff. The beginning of this novel is outright brand new stuff. And I don't know where it came from, but it just happened again.
Now, Jimmy, this is no disrespect to the Woodstock region, but for people that don't know, Woodstock is a very, very literate area, but mostly non-fiction and certain genre. Jimmy, the gothic horror, he's an expert on that. But to your knowledge, are you one of the first science fiction writers from Woodstock, or am I losing it here? Because I know there was a few years ago, there was people from Grand Falls, obviously. A good friend, Wendy Koenig, Drummond area. She's a science fiction writer. She lives 80 miles up the highway. But to your knowledge, has anybody from Woodstock ever attempted this type of science fiction? Or?
I'm not sure. If it is, it's not published.
Well, like I said, no disrespect to...
Oh, no, wait. I do have a friend, Edward Albright, who writes science fiction novels, but he doesn't publish them. And they're really good. I enjoy them.
Well, I know Edward's work, and if Edward's listening to this, I think you're a good writer, from what my friends have mentioned. But the thing with Edward is kind of like you. It's all these ideas in your head, and it's the fact of getting it published or getting it down on paper.
Yeah, I think so. I know he doesn't appear to have an interest in being published. His idea, he just likes getting them down on page and just likes reading them.
Well, some people are like that. See, myself being a sports and news editor and writer, I go for the short writing. I could never do what Jimmy does. That's why I have great respect for him, because I can't write a sports novel.
But there's the Bro Brothers too, but they do comics.
Yeah.
But that's still writing. Yeah. And I think they touch on all kinds of different genres.
But you got to understand, Frankton, Moncton, St. John, Miramichi, tons of science fiction writers. Some actually, Pierre Arsenault he's a cartoonist and he writes science fiction. Hudson, Chuck Bowie, all these great writers in the province who are part of our New Brunswick Independent Authors Association. But Jimmy, get back to the book. Like I said, it's a page turner. It's a very interesting read. But what do you want the reader to get from this first book? What is the best thing you can want for a supporter of your work? What do you want them to get from this great novel, this great science fiction novel? Because everybody writes something about science fiction. You want people to understand the universe they're creating. What do you want for the reader to get from A Father's Legacy?
My main motivation, I think, is, other than I enjoy telling these stories, to give someone just
Escape?
An escape. Yeah, an escape.
Now, we're going to be talking a little bit more in future podcasts about more on the characters and more of the inspiration. But right now, Jimmy, if people want to buy this book, where can you find it?
From me, first of all.
Okay. But you mentioned Amazon and Audible.
Oh, that's the big selling place for all novels and stuff now. So yeah, it's available on Amazon.
Hard copy as well, if anybody wants to buy the hard copy.
If you want a physical copy in your hands, it's Amazon. You can also get it on Kindle as an ebook for your Kindle reader. And currently, Kiri Bowie, she is busy adapting it to an audiobook. And I've listened to the first 15 minutes that she's done, and I really like it.
Where is she based, by the way?
I think she's in British Columbia.
In Vancouver region or
I'm
the
not
interior?
sure, to be honest with you.
Well, knowing all our friends in BC, got some great audio talent out there, and a little shout out to one of the supporters of ours, my good friend Derek Hamilton, the actor. We always like to give a shout out to Derek because he keeps the BC version of the New Brunswick Independent Authors Group very prominent.
Exactly.
And but one thing I want to say I apologize. My computer was down for a little bit of while. We just saved or improved our Dell. We do podcasts again to my many people. I've had 56,000 hits on the my channel, and thank you to everybody.
Oh, give a shout out to Nora.
And Norm Academia, who
That podcast
I think the podcast she does. I always forget her podcast.
Don't Tell Baba.
Don't Tell Baba. Very interesting because she's a very young creator. Her and her, I'm not sure, best friend's a term, one of her gracious friends or important friends. They do a podcast together. Great success. Nora did The Secrets of the Dam for us, the audiobook, and I think it inspired Nora to seek out, but we're getting a lot of great reaction to her podcast series with her good friend. And it's
you just have to hear her voice.
Her voice is tremendous, and she's from the Middle East, and she represents many cultures and many positivity of that region. You hear her voice; she reflects so much, and the different topics she talks about is what any podcast channel or podcast creator should have. So check it out. And one last thing before I leave you go. New Brunswick Independent Author Association, we have 130 members.
Nora's a member.
But if you'd like to join the association, you can call me at 272-1880. It's the majority are public and private authors and stakeholders, including politicians and different volunteers who have supported my career as a journalist, supported Jim's career, who support authors throughout the province. If you'd like to join, please give me a call. I can give you more information. It's a private group, so you can't just join off the street. But we want people that are invested in supporting independent authors in New Brunswick, so they don't have to be ripped off by, in the words of Cheryl Powers, our good buddy, ripped off by the pricks to take away all your money and give you nothing in return. So
I want to add, if you don't listen to Nora's podcast, by all means, get Secrets of the Dam, The Kirk, and Secrets of the Dam, Forbidden Dreams. She does, without a doubt, a fantastic job. You know, on The Kirk, there's a character that's Australian, and this girl, she's not a girl, she's a woman.
A woman, a lady.
She took it upon herself to learn an Australian accent, and I'm telling you, it's an incredible ride to listen to. I still listen to it. I just love it.
Maybe you should do a nonfiction book for her about the evil Doug Ford that caused her problem as a teacher in Ontario, but that's a little shout out to Nora.
Nora, if you're listening, I'm working on Secrets of the Dam Part 3, and the only voice that can ever do it is you.
Well,
I'm just telling you.
We've never met Nora in person, but you don't have to meet people in person if you support books because, just joined together. Actually, I met some people from Britain just recently who wrote about the Canadian military experience in England during the false war of the Second World War, like the first couple of years. They're everywhere. Self-published authors are everywhere. Again, the crazy imagination of Jimmy Shaw on Facebook. I'm on Facebook, JJ Carrier, the Brunswick Independent Authors Association, JJ Governor Carrier, where this podcast will be appearing. That is probably one of the most interesting things I've done as a reporter 2 years to do this channel.
Oh, we should put the podcast on that group. Welcome to my crazy imagination.
Well, it's going to be every place. You're going to be on Jimmy's group, through the links. How it works, if you like what Jimmy is doing, tell a friend. If you like what we're doing, tell a friend, because...
And we haven't forgotten about the movie treatment for the Kirk.
It's never too late.
No, we're still working towards that.
Well, put it this way, if Berlente from the DC Universe is looking to take Jimmy or me on a showrunner, we're not going to say no. And one last thing, a little shout out. We're talking about Derek Hamilton. Need for Speed Most Wanted. Derek was featured in a appreciation podcast on his character there. He did with his good buddy, the Oscar-nominated Habib Zagrapur. The podcast itself got almost 200,000 hits, just talking about Derek's. So just see the membership as every place.
And if you see the movie Rabbit, get it, watch it.
award-winning and nominated at BC Film Awards last year. Oh, a little shout out, by the way. I know we're talking science fiction. Go watch Picard. Jimmy and I are very happy with the treatment of Patrick Stewart. I met Patrick Stewart at a celebrity event in the States a few years ago. He kind of hinted there was going to be a return of the Picard character. This was 7 years ago, I think 8 years ago. It finally happened. But the dog in the show makes it number one.
Yeah, the pit bull.
The pit bull. So I'm not saying the pit bull is the best actor, but you'll see what I mean. And if you like Brent Spiner, not to give it too much away, but there's a big plot going on with Picard. Anyway, so on this good Saturday morning, we wish everybody good weather. And Jim, any last comments?
Everybody have a good day.
And buy the book.
Oh yeah, buy the book. And if it's snowing, stay inside. Stay warm.
And if you like Jimmy's book, tell your friends. And if you buy the book and don't like it, don't tell nobody.
Oh no, tell everybody.
Or tell everybody. Maybe. Just
But you know what Ozzy says? There's no such thing as bad publicity.
Too bad about Ozzy, though, eh?
The Parkinson's.
Yeah. What a surprise. See, you bite the head off of bad things happen. So anyway, have a good morning. Bye. I think we covered everything.